setting up proper motivation with 3 points: refuge field, Bodhicitta field, and the purpose of this practice for the refuge field. Let us visualize the Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings who you see as source of inspiration for compassion, infinite compassion, and for the wisdom to see the reality as it is. And how you visualize them, that they are so loving, caring, and embracing. And particularly to you, and likewise to all other dear sentient beings. Bodhicitta field, visualize your two grandparents and all your family members and all other dear sentient beings, human beings, animals, insects, hungry ghosts, hell beings, god and goddesses, spirits, Gandharvas, all around here in Thosamling, in India, in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. All the creatures in the ocean, the millions and trillions of creatures in the ocean, millions and trillions of ocean, the creatures in the forest, in the wilderness, and around you. And just imagine how you visualize them. Just imagine that you are like a mother, extremely loving, caring, sensible mother, and all others are like your children. And the purpose of this practice is to awaken this Buddha nature within you, this hidden profession within you. The great treasure, the most important treasure that exists in this universe. Though it is there, it's not visible for the reason that it is obscured by the mental defilements, like the gold when mixed with the mud. Though the gold is there, it's not visible, not because of the absence of the gold, because of the defilements or the obscurations. To remove these mental defilements, we need to know the nature of the mental defilements in order that the Buddha energy inside us becomes awakened fully. And these defilements are of two kinds, gross and subtle. The gross one referred to as the afflictive obscurations, the presence of which stops us from attaining fearlessness, total fearlessness, or technically referred to as nirvana. And this gross one is constituted of contaminated karmas, afflictions, and the active states. And all these three boil down to the self-grasping ignorance. Well, that is the main thing, but that must be complemented by self-centered attitude to let its offshoots manifest, such as the gross afflictions and the contaminated karmas, negative karmas. And the subtle one, the subtle stains like the sin of the garden, like metal stains, these are referred to as the cognitive obscurations. The presence of this stops us from attaining infinite happiness, also referred to as the Buddhahood. And given that all these mental defilements somehow they're related to this ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, either the offshoots of this ignorance or the subtle stains, the remedy remains the wisdom of emptiness, the counterforce. And this wisdom of emptiness, it must reach to the highest level of its maturation, that is the non-dual wisdom of emptiness. To reach to that level, we must have the meditative experience on the conceptual level of the emptiness. To reach to that level, we must have the conviction gained, which is referred to as the wisdom derived through reflection. And to reach to that level, we must need to have a prior extensive information, knowledge about this wisdom. For this, we require the wisdom derived through studies, wisdom derived through learning. So the 7-day program is just for that purpose, to enrich the wisdom growth through learning. So with this in mind, what the purpose is to awaken this bodhicitta, the seed of perfection within us. We try to resort to the remedies, and this remedy is the wisdom of emptiness, and driven by very powerful enthusiasm of bodhicitta. And this bodhicitta must rest on the renunciation, wishing to be freed from the afflictive obscurations or wishing to attain the fearlessness. Without this, you cannot expand this to other sentient beings wishing to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. With this motivation, imagine that you are leading this practice and all beings are joining you with great enthusiasm and the rigor. Page 3. And teach with great compassion, taught the Immaculate Dharma, with this all perverted views, to you the Buddha with Dharma and pay homage. And teach with great compassion, with this all perverted views, to you the Buddha with Dharma and pay homage. And teach with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma, to this all perverted views, to you the Buddha with Dharma and pay homage. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sāye jyōdā dzogē chōnām nāi chāngchō pārdō dāne gyātsō shī dāgē shīnsō gēbē chōnām gē chōlā bēnjirē sānyē rūparē shō Sāye jyōdā dzogē chōnām nāi chāngchō pārdō dāne gyātsō shī dāgē shīnsō gēbē chōnām gē chōlā bēnjirē sānyē rūparē Sānyē jyōdā dzogē chōnām nāi chāngchō pārdō dāne gyātsō shī dāgē shīnsō gēbē chōnām gē chōlā bēnjirē sānyē rūparē shō. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the Consummate Buddha, the Supreme of all teachers, the one who taught us peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification of complete peace, who through the knowledge of the paths of those who call achieve the aims of the world, and meritorious teachings, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivating participants to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, brother, and protector to your administrations, the one who has eliminated the run of conceptualizations, and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and profound, who turn and shine for the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha of administrations. Inspired from wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I chant the mindful awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavata Tesham Chayo Nirodha Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavata Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavata Tesham Chayo Nirodha Adi Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Bhagavata. The cessation causes as well as taught by the Siya. Profound, peaceful, aversion-free, clear-light, non-composite. Such is the nectar-light Dharma discovered. Finding no one with rather this teaching in silence are entire bliss. Pure utterance, thought and expression is the professional wisdom, which is outborn, unceased, and has the initial space. It is also the evidential self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas, are the 3 times of essence. The 4 seals of Buddhist teachings, all composite things in God. All phenomena, the nature of emptiness and selflessness, the transcendent sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is also the wholesome, the Guru of refuge is the Guru. Parisam the Vajra Brahma Dharma. Until then, the expensive beings eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove the miseries by his hands. His spiritual realization will not transfer with them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. When he sees the Buddhas of all directions to Shankara Dharma for all religions in this group. If you are attached to this line, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Page 14. Praise to Shaking the Buddha. Again a reminder, as we recite these, the lines, and these are where the qualities of the Buddha are indicated, and see if you have some of these qualities within you. If you do have, rejoice, and see how to nurture them further. Whereas if you don't have these, knowing that you have these seeds, everyone has these seeds, see how to nurture them, how to cultivate them and nurture them. To the founder, the indulgent, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, fully awakened one, being in Wakanda, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completed, fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious conquerors, a pure from the Shakti clan, prostrate their offerings and of refuge. When all supreme amongst humans, you are born on this earth, you face our 7 strides that set up supreme in this world. To you who are wise, stand and prostrate. When the pure body is formed, supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, famed and blazes in the 3 worlds, you are the best Lord, to you are prostrate. With the supreme science face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you are prostrate. Just be like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you are prostrate. The Savior had great compassion, the Father had more understanding. You feel a man with qualities like a vast ocean, to you that the Lamb are prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one power, sublime pure reality, to the Dhamma that classifies and prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy feel qualified with realizations, or devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha are prostrate. To not appertain in non-religious actions, but from all willful religious actions. Severe mind entirely, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a wish vibration, a flaming lamp, an illusion, a drop into a water bubble, a dream, a flash lightning, a cloud, seed, conditioned things as such. Toward this marriage message, things attain the rank of falsity, simply to fall false and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Sutta, page 29. Let's remember the 3 points. Yeah. 1 was a question asked by Shariputra to Araviddeshvara. Was a response given by Araviddeshvara pertaining to emptiness, how everything is like a dream, how everything is the projection of one's own mind. Of course, it's not that easy. For this reason that we are here together to study more. And then the point number 3. What's the point number 3? Yes, what's the benefit? If you practice to see everything like a dream, like your own projection of your own mind, what's the benefit where all your fears dissolve? you see that you go towards what is known as fearlessness and infinite happiness. And that this entrance of the wisdom of emptiness to go to the fearlessness and infinite happiness is the entrance, is the only entrance which all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas they have to enter. Okay. I prostrate without a true gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Buddha was dwelling on a mass of vultures mountain in Rajgrha, together with At that time the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration of the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara took upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom and beheld those five categories also as effectively in that nature. And through the part of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara: how should any child and any who wishes to practice the activity profoundly? He said that when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to
also an empty of infinite nature.
Form is empty, emptiness of form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, component factors, and consciousness empty. Shariputra likewise all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unseen state. There is no without state, no division, no movement. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composite factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on up to it, including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on up to it, including no aging death and no extinction of aging death. Similarly, there is no suffering or origination, cessation of power. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely upon the beloved professional wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond every stage of form and nirvana, all the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times also manifest the complete awakened to unsurpassable level of complete enlightenment in regards to the professional wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of professional wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, unsurpassed mantra, the mantra of the Buddha Damdul, the mantra that entirely passes all suffering, should be known as 12 senses of thought. The mantra of the professional wisdom is declared, Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound professional wisdom like that. Then the Buddha rose from the concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound professional wisdom just as you indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoiced. The Buddha having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, those around in the entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, as well as the Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Buddha. As you recite this mantra, imagine that you are in Rajgir, the vultures peak, where this heartfelt actually happened. The dialogue between Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra, where the Buddha Shakyamuni presided over, and Buddha blessed both of them, Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra, to ask questions and to respond. And then imagine that the Buddha is exhorting thus, don't remain in the fears of samsara, come to his ultimate happiness. And you hear what the Buddha Shakyamuni is exhorting us. Imagine that you inform this to all your dear sentient beings. Look, this is what a compassionate Buddha is telling us. Let us not remain in fears of samsara anymore. Let us all go towards the ultimate happiness by unraveling the true nature of your Buddha nature within us. So everybody, all the sentient beings hearing what you're saying, they're so inspired, and they join you in this journey of cleansing the mind to unravel this hidden treasure within you.
Bodhisvaha
gate paragate parasambate bodhisvatyatha om gate gate paragate parasambate bodhisvatyatha. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing Param truth, may the now ignorance be transformed, may they be dispelled, may the knowledge of truth be pacified, may all negative causes opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the whole 80,000 of sins be pacified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, in accord with the Dharma, may all sufficiency of perfect happiness pervade the days now. Okay, 8 verses for the mind, page 35. Let's not forget to make distinction between self-confidence and ego. So our job is to not to see these two as synonymous. How we demarcate between the evolved beings, or noble beings, and ordinary beings. Ordinary beings, the mark of somebody as being ordinary is that as the ego subsides, self-confidence also goes down. When you boost self-confidence, ego also comes out. This is the mark of being ordinary. Now, if you do belong to this category, even that is dependent originated. It is not that it's fixed. It's not intrinsically there within you. That you can change it. And which means this is how, as you make this, the difference between the ego and the self-confidence, the gap in the two more and more, you boost the self-confidence but subdue the ego, the more you succeed in this, more happy you are. This is a journey of the spirituality. To move from the state of unhappiness to the happiness. So why usually we are not happy? It's because that we feel so subjugated, we feel suppressed, we feel hopeless. It's because of lack of confidence. And why we feel so agitated? Because of the ego, generally speaking. So if you remove the ego, all the agitation subside. If you increase the self-confidence, the joy increases, confidence, and the ability that you can do something, you are the face, a sense of the worth comes to you. So that's the whole purpose, to make the gap in the two bigger and bigger, so that the ego is subsided altogether and the confidence is boosted to the greatest height. 8 verses of trained mind by Geshe Dorji Damdul. With the determination that she has for the benefit of all sentient beings, the surpasses even the wishful future, may all them dear at all times. Whenever I turn this someone, may I remove myself as the wisdom of soul, and from the very depths of my heart, respectfully hold others as superior. And all my deeds may have opened in my mind, and I'm so listening to the words. And so I confront them when I burn them. When I see beings of unpleasant character, and those are present with strong negativity and suffering, hold them dear for their rare and find, as I discover the true treasure. When others are in jealousy, treat me wrongly with abuse, slander and scorn, and take for myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone whom I may hold on, whom I these great hopes, mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may God bless this my precious teacher. In brief, may offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May quietly myself all others in the names of my mothers. May all this remain undefiled, but the states of aid and dim concerns, and may recognize all things as illusions to whatever they keep in case from bondage. From my true collections, vast and space that have amassed, from where I keep with effort and use practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief Buddha for all those whose minds crystallized by the ignorance. Okay, 7 practice. I bow down to the youthful Radha Manjushri. You the Buddhas, the lions amongst humans, God of freedom in the present, past and future, in the world of directions. God of you with body, speech, and sincere mind, I bow down. With the energy of inspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a certain deep respect. To all the Buddhas visualize as real, I bow down. On hearing among Buddhas numbered as particles. Each of these is a host of bodhisattvas, and I'm confident this sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with the Buddhas in this way. With infinite oceans of praise for you, and oceans of song from the aspect of my own voice, I see the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you as goddess. Beautiful flowers and regal gardens, sweet music set to walls and pedestals, sparkling sublime incense offered to victorious ones of Buddhas. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, several all bodies offerings and spectacular array offered to you victorious ones. With transcendent offerings, peerless and powers, with profound veneration for all the Buddhas, with strength and perfection in the Bodhisattva way, offer and bow down to all the victorious ones. Every harmful action I've done with my body's vicious mind, overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and ignorance, all these are openly laid bare before you. I lift my heart and rejoice in all the merit of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions. Of solitary realizers here still training those beyond of all ordinary beings. You are the bright lights of the world in 10 directions. You have attained the Buddha's omniscience through the states of awakening. All you are my guides, please turn the supreme will of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly request you who may actualize the Nirvana. Whatever slight merit may be accumulated by making prostration, offerings, and confessing, rejoicing requesting that the Buddha's teach, I now dedicate all of this for the full awakening of all beings. What your mental offering? This ground adorned with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with oatmeal, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. The all sentient beings attain the pure land. Please bless me that my mind overflows with the precious Bodhicitta that cherishes others more than myself. Please bless me to have an accurate experience of the wisdom of Emptiness that does not see even an atom of intrinsic reality on the basis of understanding how things come into being by independent origination through mere conditioning. Please bless me that my mind overflows with the precious wisdom of the non-duality of bliss and emptiness. Edam Guru Rayam Mandalam Nirate Amen. Okay, the foundation of all good qualities by the Matsugata, the roadmap to enlightenment. The foundation of all good qualities is a kind and perfect pure Guru. Our devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this world is for only once, it's greatly meaningful that it's difficult to find again. Please bless me to gem in the mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as water bubble. Remember how quickly decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, results of wishes or non-wishes cannot follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me to always be careful, abandon even the slightest negativity, and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Some such splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great devotion arise. The rule of the teaching is keeping the breath in your arms. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into serious samsara, so fall other migratory beings. Please bless me to see the instrument supreme Bodhicitta and the better responsibility to free migratory beings. Even if develop Bodhicitta for the proper practice and regulatory terms of morality, acknowledging enlightenment. Please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I've pacified distraction to wrong objects and correctly analyze the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate communicate with the mind strength, even grab path of the Mambara exhibition of Islam. Having become a pure vessel by training the general power, please bless me to enter the holy gift of the fortunate ones, the supreme master of ego, and their time the basic accomplishment to attainments, is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to pretend these vows and pledges of my mind. Then I will realize the importance of the two stages, as in the Vajrayana, by practicing great energy and purity among the 4 sessions. Please bless me to realize the teachings of Holy Guru, and there remain gurus who show noble path, and spiritual friends who practice a long life. Please bless me to pacify completely all of the needy hindrances. In all my life, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the benefits of Dharma by completing the qualities and stations of the paths by good attain the state of Vajradhara. Okay, mix a more mantra. Yoravalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-referential compassion, and the Jushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of rules of demons without exception. So above all, the ground truth that sages of the knows the top having feet and English traditions. Great treasure of non-referential compassion, and Manjushri, marshal flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapali, destroying all the demons without exception. So Baba, crowned you with the stations of 11 stones, those on top I do feed and make prostrations. Okay. Generating a lot of consumed yoga. For this we do 4 practices. 1, the single point meditation, renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom of emptiness. And then we take the expression bodhisattva vow. Hopefully we can take the vow today. And taking the bodhisattva vow, it has no commitment at all. It's just that at most, if at all, there's a commitment is that from today onwards, I'll try to be kind towards others. And if not, at least I'll not harm others. So this much, if you can be committed, we're entitled to take this aspect of bodhisattva vow. And it's not that you should be a Buddhist, it's not necessary. Anybody can take this just to become a better person, to become somebody who doesn't create problem in the family, who doesn't create problem in the community, in fact who only renders service, renders warmth, embrace others with love and affection, who is there to dissolve your problem, dissolve the problems of others, dissolve the potential conflicts in the community, in your family. So this is what is the expected. If you admire this principle, that this is a good idea, then you're entitled to take this aspect of bodhisattva. Okay. For this, the first single point meditation, we are doing something very simple, and if you can do it consistently, this would be extremely helpful to channelize your mind. That your mind going haywire, it will be channelized, and in whatever direction that you're going to focus your mind, it will be very obedient to you. This is one. Next, what is that next? Renunciation. So renunciation, in fact, there are the different ways, for example, not different ways, different versions. The main body of the practice remains the same, but they say how that is fine-tuned can differ from one tradition to the other. But finally, what is required is that the desire to leave your self-grasping ignorance, the desire to leave samsara. Everybody will say, yes, I want to leave samsara. Yes. But who's going to say that I want to leave myself, I'm fed up with my self-grasping ignorance. Yes. Right? That is very difficult. Mm-hmm. If you can say this, then a genuine renunciation is born in you. Whereas if you say that, I want to leave samsara is terrible, it simply means the manifest suffering, complications of the family, which you might be the one creating this complication. Right? And you leave, and the family will maybe more peace. Right? Okay, so the point is that if you say that, I want to leave samsara, this is the renunciation. We are not too sure it's a real renunciation. Whereas if you say that, I want to leave this self-grasping ignorance, I'm fed up with this, I want to leave it, that's a real understanding of renunciation. Till you have this, if this does not come to you, it's not a genuine renunciation. Okay, so for that matter, whatever tradition that you follow, Sakya, Kaikyu, Nyingma, Gelu, whatever tradition that you follow, at the end of the day, if you are able to generate this feeling that this self-grasping, how I'm projecting things object real, that's the one which creates problem in me. That's the one that attracts all the fears in my life, anxiety, stress, and so forth. If you discover that, that is a mark of your success. Whatever tradition that you follow is fine. You follow the Sakya, Kaikyu, Nyingma, Gelu, Goenkaji's tradition, Theravada tradition, Chinese tradition, Tibetan tradition, it doesn't matter. It's fine. As long as this is not happening, the foundation is lost. Okay. So, what we do is that instead of following a very specific tradition, Sakya, Kaikyu, Nyingma, Gelu, Theravada, or this, we just follow the Buddha's own direct tradition. That is the 4 seals, which the Buddha himself taught. We just follow that. And it doesn't mean that we are being disrespectful to these different traditions. These different traditions, we learn them. From this, We learn them how to reinforce our understanding, the practice of realization on the basis of the Buddha's own teachings for seals. Next, the Bodhicitta. For the Bodhicitta, of course, the 7-day retreat, we would learn how to practice the Bodhicitta in a very systematic way. The two methods, the sevenfold cause-effect method, which is Bodhicitta, and the method of ecological exchanges of others. These two methods we would learn in great detail in these 7 days. Yes, we are a little ambitious. The two methods of Bodhicitta in great detail, and also emptiness. We try to study and also try to cover some other important topics as well. So, but here in the group, usually what we do is that we do instead of the two methods, we do the 4 vegetables. Because two methods take a lot of time. And whereas you do it on your own, by yourself, in your room, then you can, manage your time. Whereas in group, we cannot manage time. Either there must be some uniform flow there, which requires a lot of time. Once in a while, when the retreat is like 10 days, or 12 days, or earlier, the 15 days, then we have so much time. We do the group meditation on the two methods. Okay, so we do it that in the form of the 4 vegetables. And then at the end of this practice of 4 vegetables, we take that, we say the gem, the Bodhicitta, may I become Buddha for the sentient beings. Once done, then the next one is the wisdom of emptiness. So today I don't know, because we are yet to explain what the wisdom of emptiness is. Okay, I'll just say something which is relevant, but may not go into detail on the wisdom of emptiness. And then we take the Bodhisattva vow. Not the full-fledged Bodhisattva vow. Bodhisattva vow, there are 2 kinds. One is the aspirational Bodhisattva vow, which we're taking, and the other one is engaged Bodhisattva vow. To take the engaged Bodhisattva vow, that requires the great deal of commitment. And first of all, you should have some experience of Bodhicitta, although it may not be full-fledged Bodhicitta, but at least some experience of Bodhicitta, where, let's say, you making distinction between your near-dear ones and the neutral person and the different person. This distinction must become smaller, and then that natural flow of compassion should happen to all the beings. Even if somebody is right there who's so nasty, deep inside your compassion flow. Only then you are entitled to take actually Bodhisattva vow, otherwise not. Because it's a huge responsibility. I'm going to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, and there are like 18 infractions to God. So these are things that we do keep in mind. But what we're doing here is not the actual Bodhisattva vow. We are taking the aspirational Bodhisattva vow. Okay, good. Now for the single point of meditation, I'm not going to give you any more instructions. Let's straight away go to 25 minutes. Ready? Okay. Okay, next we move to the renunciation. And what is expected is that maybe after 2 days, they, instead of doing the guided meditation, the renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom, emptiness, all three will be done in the form of a guided meditation. And today, tomorrow, we'll do that guided. Then, of course, this is all analytical meditation, except for the first one. They're all analytical meditation. And for today and tomorrow, I'll give the instruction. We could do the guided meditation pertaining to the renunciation. Then from third day, we will do that without being guided. So I just sign each of the seals, and then you try to follow the instructions. For that, not the instructions, just follow that, do your own little meditation. So for that, you need to be little attentive of what is being said now. When I'm saying the instructions, don't think that, okay, I'm just flowing with what he's saying. You should remember what's being said, so that after 2 days, you should be able to do that on your own. And then the Bodhicitta part, the 4 immeasurables, that's easier. And then the emptiness part, yes. First we should be given some instructions, what is emptiness, how to meditate on this. And maybe on the last day, we'll try to do that on our own. Ready? What you have the renunciation on the basis of the 4 seals. And every instruction given, just make sure that, see if you can register what is being said, rather than just letting your mind flow in it. Okay. Renunciation. What does it mean by renunciation? It is to renounce your miseries. It is not to renounce your happiness. But to renounce the miseries, we need to learn how to renounce the causes of miseries. When the manner in which the Buddha indicated, Yedharma hetu prabhava. These phenomena arise from the causes. Until we deal with the causes, we cannot have a lasting solution to get rid of the miseries. What are causes? And the Buddha identified ignorance as the ultimate cause. Of course, there are many causes there. Contaminant karmas, the gross afflictions, inappropriate attention, and the self-grasping ignorance. In the ultimate sense, the Buddha identified ignorance as the root of all the miseries. What kind of ignorance? There are so many layers, so many kinds of ignorance. Buddha identified 4. Misconceiving impermanent phenomena as permanent. Misconceiving suffering nature as happiness. Misconceiving impure phenomena as pure. And misconceiving what is selfless nature as of selfhood. To remove these, to eradicate these 4 misconceptions or ignorance, the Buddha taught the 4 seals. The first seal, all contaminated, all composite things are impermanent, or all compounded things are impermanent. Compounded things which are compounded, things which are constituted of the material parts and temporal parts. All these impermanent phenomena, which also refer to as composite phenomena, they are the nature of the transitoriness, impermanence. And this impermanence is of 2 kinds, the gross and the subtle. We must reflect on the gross one in order to get to appreciate the depth of the subtle impermanence. Gross impermanence will give us the initial experience of the sense of urgency. And the subtle impermanence will give you an extremely stable understanding of the renunciation, a stable understanding of the emergent sense of urgency there, emergency that we live in. And this gross impermanence is an impermanent phenomenon whose continuum comes to an end, like your youth. And the beautiful days before the COVID-19, birthday celebrations, the beautiful sunset, the waves, very smooth waves flowing on the ocean. Just imagine the people 200 years ago. This world was again lived in by people who now no more exists, but they were the same age as yours, some younger, some older, many of them your same age. They also have dreams in their mind, have expectations. The parents have so much expectation on the children, and children also likewise have so much expectation in their lives. Whether these expectations are fulfilled or not fulfilled, they're all gone now. This is impermanence. And these are the unfortunate people. We are the very fortunate people. We are still alive. No, we are just saying 200 years later, in the future, no doubt, there's going to be perhaps like 10 billion human beings today, almost hitting 8 billion human beings. After 200 years, perhaps 10 billion human beings or 15 billion human beings. So there, not even a single person out of the 8 billion human beings today will survive then. Everything will become a memory. And whether you have so much attention, stress and so forth, within 10 years, 20 years, many of them will be gone. This attention, they're gone. They just become like a memory. And within 100 years, 150 years time, not even a single person today here will be remembered by those people then. Only few people will be remembered in the history of humanity. Just see how many are remembered. Some are remembered for the incredible goodness, like Bodhicitta, Jesus Christ, and Paula, Mother Teresa, and so forth. And some are remembered for the being the nature of the tyranny, being the nature of because of being brutal nature. Otherwise, almost 99.9% of the people, they're all forgotten after 200 years. This impermanence, this reality. And to see that this impermanence, of course, is very scary to think of. Yes, and also it makes you feel a little sick. And this is reality. Unless we face the reality, unless we know what kind of illness that we're going through, you cannot go for the remedies. We cannot go for the antibiotics. We cannot go for the medication. So to go for the medication, you have to identify these illnesses. And these are illnesses that we are with. This is the reality of impermanence. And this impermanence is possible only if these changes are happening on the yearly basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis, hourly basis, minute by minute basis, second by second basis, millisecond by millisecond basis, nanosecond by nanosecond basis. And this is what the cognitive phenomena are. They are all marked by momentariness there, instantaneity, which involves with all the impermanent phenomena, this reality. That instantaneity or the momentariness of all impermanent phenomena is known as the subtle impermanence. Reflecting on subtle impermanence, it gives us even deeper, more profound sense of urgency. That there's nothing really to grab at, to see that this is what I like, this is what I don't like. It's just like very fast moving waves. They are formed, disappeared, formed, disappeared, formed, disappeared. This is real impermanence. When I was 5, till 5, my very beautiful days of being with Mother, now they're all gone. Until I was in my 30s, my beautiful days with my dad is all gone now. And many of my very close friends, each one of us very close friends, near dear ones, many of them are gone now. This is reality. These are all marked by the transitoriness. so like we are moving in a very fast moving train. Our body is like a very fast moving train. Our mind is also a very fast moving train. The universe in which we live is also a very fast moving train. Faster the train moves, more the fear that we have. If someone were to throw us into a very fast moving train and not knowing who threw us is very scary. The faster the train moves, more the fear. Where is this train taking us? If the train, it depends on the driver. If the driver is your mother or the father, no doubt the train will take you to a picnic spot. But unfortunately, in our case, the train driver, which is our mind, it is under the dictate of the two demons, self-grasping ignorance, self-centeredness, particularly the self-grasping ignorance as the contamination, Western contaminations, mental contaminations. As long as we are under the sway of the Western contaminations, we'll all experience pains, miseries. This is what the Buddha taught us, the second seal. All contaminated things are suffering nature. Suffering like what? We, in our own capacity, we've experienced what suffering is like, except for some of the young ones. Most of us, we already had the experience of nightmares of life. The pain of losing near to ones. One moment of such a pain is good enough to nullify all the past experiences of merriments, festivities, and birthday parties, engagements, wedding party. This is all so shallow, so meaningless, so gloomy in the eyes of experiencing one moment of such a tragic incident, like losing someone who is so close to you. It shatters your whole life. This is the meaning of all contaminated things of nature. Yes, that's very true. When will this stop? I'm so tired to go through this experience since many infinite lifetimes. And we have been deceived by the temporary chocolate, temporary happiness. The reality is that we are always under the grip of these very scary experiences. One moment of which simply makes the whole life shatter into pieces of hopelessness. Is there a way out? Yes, of course there's a way out. But if we lead a life the way we live now, when we go through such a desperate situation, we become so broken, shattered. The moment we get something, some few moments, fleeting moments of happiness, we forgot our past experience of the pains. This is how childish we are. So now we should be more matured in not forgetting the past experience of the pains amidst you enjoying these fleeting moments of happiness. Just remember those pains. The wise people will deal with these pains. This is the anecdote a Buddha shared. 100 people were going for a picnic, and while reaching there at the bank of the river, only 3 people, they become so cautious. We have no time for picnicking. Look at this, the nature of the river is soon going to flood, and we must try to escape this. And the rest of the 97 people, they said, you are spoiling our picnic. We came here for a picnic. So why are you spoiling a picnic? If you want to cross the river, cross it. But we don't spoil a picnic. And then remain that is just enjoy the picnic. And the 3 of them struggled to cross the river. And they crossed. In my view, half an hour time, the river flooded and all the remaining 97 people were killed. So this is how this is the analogy Buddha gave, that the majority of the people, they're like small children, they're simply engrossed, infatuated, trapped by this picnic, like these moments, the fleeting moments of happiness. The reality is very different. It can simply flood you into samsara with so much pain, with tears, endless tears. Okay, that's true. When will this come to an end? 2021 came to an end on its own. But your misery will never come to an end on its own. There are 3 kinds of impermanent phenomena. While we describe 2 kinds, there are also 3 kinds. One whose continuum invariably comes to an end. Like your youth, like 2020, 2021, and so forth. And there is another class of impermanent phenomena whose continuum never comes to an end, like your mind, your time, the time, in the reality of impermanence, and the self. They never come to an end. They forever goes like this, although they're impermanent in nature. There's third category of phenomena, which only by a concerted effort, the continuum will come to an end, without which it will never come to an end on its own. Your suffering, your anxiety, your contaminant karmas, your afflictions, your inappropriate attention, and finally, your self-grasping ignorance, self-centeredness. They will never come to an end. They will continue to torture us until we put effort to bring an end to this. Okay, what kind of effort should be, what kind of effort is required? The effort which is just directly in opposition or counterforce to the root of the miseries. What's the root of miseries? Self-grasping ignorance. So the effort should be the wisdom to see the reality as an empty of true existence. What is that wisdom? Wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of object tells with reality. What's the reality? The reality is what the Buddha indicated as the third seal, everything's nature, emptiness, selflessness. Okay, just imagine. We are not going to go into emptiness now, but just imagine that everything's like a dream. Just when you think of the person who made you smile, just when you think about this mentally, it doesn't make you smile. Your mind is under total control. Your emotions do not stir you. You don't lose control of your mind. So this is when you realize that the person that I'm thinking is just the imagination. That's just coming from my mind. Subjective existence. The moment you realize that things are coming from your subject, your fears dissolve. Your mind is totally under your control. That's amazing. So, if that happens, it doesn't mean that all my miseries, they're also like dream, they're also subject to real. Yes, they're all empty of true existence. There's nothing there. It's like you wake up, you come to realize that all what happened in dream, they're all just your subjective. The imputation all comes from your mind. The moment you discover that they all come from your mind, all the fears that you had in the dream stops invariably. Okay, so if I discover that all my miseries, they are just projected from my mind, my fear dissolves. Yes, this is when all your fears are transcended. Your miseries, sorrows transcended. This is when you experience absolute peace, transcendental peace, everlasting peace. This is nirvana. This is what the Buddha indicated as transcending sorrow is absolute peace, the fourth seal. Okay. So just generate a very strong wish. May I experience this emptiness of objective existence where all my miseries dissolve. Just in this experience of the desire to experience this emptiness, where all my miseries dissolve, and then experience absolute peace. This aspiration is known as the renunciation. Okay, slowly come out before we proceed to Bodhicitta. Okay, for the Bodhicitta, we are doing the 4 vegetables. Of the 4, because during the time we'll do only the first 2 vegetables. So that's going to begin like a guided meditation. What is expected is that you just follow the instructions. Follow the instructions. Don't try to compare, contrast, or correlate with what we did earlier, what you learned earlier from different teachers, different books, and so forth. You can't correlate. You can't compare, contrast. Later on, not now. Now, try as much you make the most of this moment together to invoke the respective experiences to the best you can. And at times it can become very superficial, it doesn't matter. This is the only way how we practice it. This means not practicing music. Practice music, initially there's no music there. You're just mimicking what the teacher, the buttons pressed by which your teacher asks you to press. You press it, that's it. And there's no music coming out. And gradually it becomes a real music. This is made of the practice, the training. So practice compassion likewise is no exception. That initially can be very superficial. Your mind may not resonate with the instructions given. This is how we have to practice. This when we practice, eventually it will become real. Okay, ready? Immeasurable compassion. And the order of the four immeasurables. Some people put immeasurable compassion first, followed by immeasurable loving kindness. There's no need to debate, argue. Just practice something. Some people, we don't practice at all and just debate which should come first. In this text, the immeasurable compassion is taught first. In another text, the word immeasurable loving kindness is taught first. Which is one? Which is the correct one? Don't talk about the correct one, incorrect. Just practice it, and you will feel something. Okay, that is the purpose. You do whichever you do first is fine. Okay, so for the purpose of very specific, but before that, because that we do only the first two, we do the immeasurable compassion first for a purpose, and this purpose you come to know later on. Immeasurable compassion. Reinforce visualizing all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas in the space in front of us, so loving, caring, amazing. And also reinforce visualization of your two grand parents, all of them members, your children, and all demon sentient beings living on the side, including the tiny insects, hungry ghosts, hell beings, god and goddesses, spirits, human beings, everyone with you. Immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all my demon sentient beings are free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Causes of suffering primarily consist of self-grasp and ignorance, and self-centered attitude and their respective offshoots. May all my dear Mother Sentient beings be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear Mother Sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing that you make such a courageous commitment, they're intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke their compassionate omniscient minds to the sense of nectars, very soothing lights to you in the ultimate sentient beings. They mere touch of lights and nectars with the bodies because of yours, washes away all the miseries and the cause of miseries from you and from all the demon sentient beings. And you witnessing such a miraculous acceptance towards all the demon sentient beings, you're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sound with relief. Next, immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. Cause of happiness primarily consisting of the unconditional love of the Bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind in the universe, and the most fearless mind that possibly exists in this universe, the wisdom of emptiness. May all my dear Mother Sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear Mother Sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, witnessing that you are making such a courageous commitment, they are intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke their compassionate omniscient minds to self of next to soothing lights to rest you and all demon sentient beings. Their mere touch of lights and nectars from the bodies of beings yours instills in all happiness and the causes of happiness within you and within all the demon sentient beings. And you witnessing such a miracle accepting towards all the demon sentient beings, You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, a sign of the relief. Underscoring these 2 immeasurables is the unconditional love towards all different sentient beings. Imagine that just the abundance experience of unconditional love towards all the beings. Imagine that you are looking at the eyes of each of the sentient beings to the extent, with so much love and affection, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. Okay, with this unconditional love, with folded hands, I'll make a line of Bodhicitta commitment and will let us all say this return together wholeheartedly to the best you can. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. Just try to feel this as much as possible. It can be superficial, it doesn't matter. Just try to feel this. And this most beautiful mind that possibly exists in this whole universe, this most appealing mind, most beautiful mind. And today, you generated it. Be it superficial, it doesn't matter. And today, you've planted the seed of the most beautiful mind in your being, so precious. Slowly transform this beautiful mind of the Bodhicitta into a spotlessly clean white moon disk. 2 inches or 1.5 inches in diameter, horizontally sitting at your heart. Okay, that's amazing that you made such a courageous commitment to become Buddha for the benefit of all human beings. That's amazing. But let's not forget that no matter how much you squeeze a handful of sand, no oil come out of it. How can you say that you can become a Buddha? Yes, that's true. I'm not like a handful of sand. Instead of like a handful of sunflower seeds, I have the Buddha nature within me, the seed of perfection within me, this ultimate treasure within me. If that is the case, why not that you become Buddha since time immemorial to today? Why not? Yes, till today I'm being absolutely deceived by the 2 demons, self-grasping, ignorant, self-centered attitude. And today I'm disillusioned by the 2 demons. Henceforth, I'll engage in every effort to exterminate these 2 demons. How would you do that? By resorting to a very powerful remedy. What kind of remedy? The remedy of the wisdom of emptiness, non-dual wisdom of emptiness. What is this wisdom? Okay, let us quickly retreat the experience of the 3rd seal which we meditated, that everything is like a dream. There's nothing objectively there. Imagine that you wake up from the unconventional dream to discover that all what you've experienced in some unconventional dream, they're all just mental projection. The moment you realize this, all your fears dissolve. And the more you practice this, even the subtle stains of mind dissolve. What does Buddha nature become manifest fully? It's all because of this awakening to discover that nothing exists objectively. Stay in this experience. Imagine that nothing exists objectively, it's just like a dream. The emptiness of objective existence, non-affirming, negative. The isolate of the non-affirming negative, the emptiness of objective existence of all phenomena. Slowly transform this incredibly fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness into a spotless, clean white vajra, thumb-sized white vajra, vertically sitting on the moon disk of your heart. That's amazing. Now you have the moon, symbolic of the conventional Bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind in the universe, to exterminate the self-centered attitude. And a vajra, symbolic of the ultimate Bodhicitta, the non-pure wisdom of the Ari Bodhisattvas, guaranteeing that all the mental stains, be the afflictive obscurations or the cognitive obscurations, are all going to be exterminated, and that your true nature inside is going to be discovered, fully unraveled, that you become the full enlightened being, to experience total fearlessness and infinite happiness, thereby embracing all other diligent beings to protect them from all fears of life. It's amazing. There was so much love and affection towards all the beings. Imagine that this intense love that you feel towards all the demons and the beings invoke the Vajramuni in your heart to multiply infinite number of times. Share one set of Vajramuni with your mother at her heart, one set with your father at his heart, one set with each one of your members, including children, one with each of the sentient beings here in Thosamling, Nunnery, and the institute, the human beings, the animals, insects, honeybees, hell beings, god and goddesses, the snakes, and one with each of the sentient beings in your own country, in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. Now everyone has to share the Vajramuni, which you have so kindly shared with them. This guarantees that all of them are going to also experience total fearlessness in infinite happiness. Okay, just imagine that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are watching us, they are so happy, and they have the Vajramuni in full-fledged form, and their kindness, affection, compassion towards us invoke the Vajramuni in their hearts to multiply infinite number of times. Like a rain shower, they descend and merge with the one that you visualize in your heart, thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized and blessed. Likewise, like rain shower, all these Vajramuni from the heart of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they descend and merge with the one that you visualize in the heart of mother, and the heart of father, and out of each of the family members, with the children, with each of the sentient beings here in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. Thereby blessing, becoming non-dual and stabilized of the Vajramuni that we've shared with all the devils in your beings. We can feel the joy of having practiced this, the two bodhicittas. Okay, slowly come out of this practice, come out, and we'll point this up with the dedication prayer. Page 52. The aspect was set about tomorrow. I think tomorrow we can take it. Tomorrow. Today we don't take the because of constraint of time. Okay, page 52. A dedicated man thus gathered towards the realization and teaching the prayers of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to upholding the doctrine of truth and insight. Guide all life through the form of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path of renunciation, bodhicitta, but in the 2 stages. From our reflections was a space that the Master, from working with our this practice for a great length of time, may I give the sheep leading Buddha for all those whose minds were smiles, blind and ignorance.